Hello and welcome to Meditut, the medical tutorials. Our motto is understand, learn, and give your best performance. As discussed in lecture 1 of Meditut, the medical tutorials, we are starting our learning of biochemistry with biomolecules. And in today's lecture, we are going to start with the discussion of water, the solvent of life. Water is an ideal solvent for biomolecules and it provides an ideal environment for biological reactions. In the human body, about 60% of the body weight is made up of water in a healthy adult male. In females, it is 55% of the body weight, which is made up of water. In infants, the water content is more. About 75% of the body weight is made up of water in infants, and in adolescents, it is 65 to 70%. While in old age, it becomes less. It is less than 50% of the body weight. How to remember these figures? I'll tell you a simple way to remember these figures. Let us put 75, 70, 65, 60, 55, 50. 75% is the concentration of water in infants out of the total body weight. In adolescents, it is 65 to 70%. In adult male, it is 60%. In adult female, it is 55%. And in old age, it is less than 50%. That is how you remember the concentration of water in the various ages. Human body is divided into compartments. There are about 37.2 trillion cells in human body, and the space within all these 37.2 trillion cells is called the intracellular fluid space, or ICF in short, while the space outside the cells is called ECF, the extracellular fluid space. ECF is further divided into plasma and the tissue fluid, or interstitial fluid, called ISF in short. Plasma is the watery component of blood which flows in the blood vessels, and it travels to all the organs, the tissues, and in fact it travels to all the cells, all the 37.2 trillion cells in the human body, and there is a constant exchange of molecules from cells to plasma. In between the cells and plasma, there is a constant exchange of various molecules. Now, there is a space in between the blood vessels and the cells. There is a space called interstitial fluid space or tissue fluid space, not just between the blood vessels and the cells. In between all the cells, the space is called the interstitial fluid space or the tissue fluid space. The ISF and plasma together constitute extracellular fluid space. Out of the 60% body water which is present in the healthy adult male, 40% is present in the inside the cells, that is in the intracellular fluid space, and 20% is present outside the cell, that is in the extracellular fluid space. Out of this 20% ECF, the major part, that is 15%, is present in the interstitial fluid space or the tissue fluid space, and only 5% is present as plasma. That is how the water is distributed in the various compartments in the human body. This is a molecule of water. In the water molecule, you can see there is a covalent bond between oxygen and hydrogen. There is a covalent bond. Means the electrons are shared. Means there should not be any charge on oxygen or on hydrogen. But because of the position of electron cloud towards oxygen, the oxygen is slightly electronegative and hydrogen is slightly electropositive. Now, I am saying slightly. Very important point to remember is it is slightly electronegative. This delta sign signifies slightly electronegative, and this is slightly electropositive. It is unlike the molecule of sodium chloride, where the sodium is fully positive and chloride is fully negative, and they form a strong bond with each other, that is called ionic bond. In this case, it is slightly electronegative. Oxygen is slightly electronegative in comparison to hydrogen, and hydrogen is slightly electropositive in comparison to oxygen. So water molecule has dipole. This is a dipole. Negative, positive, negative, positive. So water molecule has got a dipole. So this is a very, very important property of water, that it has dipole. Suppose this is one molecule of water and suppose this is another molecule of water. The electropositive hydrogen forms a weak bond with electronegative oxygen of another water molecule. Similarly, this weak bond is called hydrogen bond. Similarly, the various water molecules, they form hydrogen bonds with each other in a water-based medium. So all the water molecules are cross-linked by the weak bonds called hydrogen bonds between the electronegative oxygen and electropositive hydrogen. The important point to remember about hydrogen bond, number one, it is intermolecular, not intramolecular. Means it is from one molecule to another molecule, not within the molecule. Secondly, it is weak. Now, why I am saying weak? Because it is slightly electronegative and slightly electropositive. So the bond is weak and it is exchangeable, interchangeable. Means this hydrogen can form a hydrogen bond with this oxygen or with this oxygen or with this oxygen. So this hydrogen bond can change from here to here or here. So the hydrogen bond keeps changing in between the molecules. This is a very, very important property of hydrogen bond because this is what is responsible for fluidity of water. Let us quickly recapitulate what we have understood so far in this lecture. Number one, the human body is made up of 37.2 trillion cells. Second point to remember is the water molecules form hydrogen bonds which are intermolecular, weak and exchangeable, and water constitutes 60% of the body weight in a healthy adult male. If you see it age wise and gender wise, 75% in infants, 65 to 70% in adolescents, 60% in adult male, 55% in adult female, and less than 60% in old age. The water is distributed into compartments. The total body water is distributed into the compartments, the ICF and ECF. ECF is further divided into the interstitial fluid and the plasma. The total body water in a healthy adult male is 60%, which comes to 42 liters in a 70 kg man. Out of this 42 liters, the 60%, 40% in ICF and 20% in ECF, or you can say 28 liters in ICF and 14 liters in ECF. Out of this ECF, out of this 20%, 14 liters ECF, 15%, that is 10.5 liters in the tissue fluid, the ISF, and only 5%, the 3.5 liters in the form of plasma. There is an important term, transcellular fluid. Remember, transcellular fluid is a part of ECF only, but it is different from the tissue fluid or from plasma. It constitutes 2.5% of ECF, means 2.5% not of the total body water, 2.5% of 14 liters only. It comes to around 350 ml. So the transcellular fluid is the 2.5% of ECF, 350 ml. And what constitutes transcellular fluid? Cerebrospinal fluid present in the brain and spinal cord, the peritoneal, pericardial and pleural fluids, the synovial fluid present in the joint space, the ocular fluids, that is aqueous and vitreous humor, the ear fluid, the endolymph and perilymph. These are the transcellular fluids. Very important point to remember, lymph, GI secretions and other exocrine secretions, they are not transcellular fluid. They are interstitial fluids, not transcellular. The lymph, the GI secretions like the saliva, the parotid gland secretion, saliva, the gastric secretions, the pancreatic juice, bile, intestinal secretions, and other exocrine secretions like sweat. All these exocrine secretions, the gastrointestinal secretions and lymph, they are interstitial fluids, not transcellular fluid. Very important point to remember. So, what constitutes transcellular fluid? CSF, peritoneal, pericardial, pleural fluid, synovial fluid, aqueous humor, vitreous humor, endolymph, and perilymph. Right? If you wish to better your performance in any of the exams and build a solid foundation for a great career in medical science, please like, share, and subscribe our channel, Meditut the Medical Tutorials.